Marianne Street.
It's, as others have said, not exactly a pleasure to get up and speak to this Kaipara District Council validation bill. But I do so. I want to acknowledge John Robertson, who is in the House tonight as a former Member of Parliament, who is the Chair of the Commissioners in Kaipara at the moment, and acknowledge his work. First of all, though, I want to begin with a tribute to Mike Sabin. I think I agreed with every single word in his speech. It was a very strong speech. And if there are members of the Mangawhai Ratepayers and Residents Association watching this parliamentary session tonight, and they are people who have been annoyed with Mike Sabin for bringing this legislation to the House, can I just say to them that he has done exactly the right thing. He has taken the right course of action. He's brought it here and spoken very strongly about what he sees to be the injustices and the inadequacies that are the precursor to this bill arriving in the House. So I want to commend him for that speech and for bringing this, because it's a difficult thing to do, Mr. Speaker. Most of us, I think, but I'll just speak for myself, I have a pathological aversion to validating legislation, a pathological aversion to it. For this Parliament to be used to make an illegality legal is an abuse of this House. For this House to be asked to say that the incompetency, the illegal practice, the mismanagement and perhaps malevolence on the part of any local council, not just this one, of any local council, and to turn that into fact or legal fact, when it in fact becomes a legal fiction, is an abuse of this House. In February of this year, Mr. Speaker, we heard from Damien O'Connor when he was in a similar position to Mike Sabin. The Tasman District Council had asked him as the local member for most of that area of the council's catchment to bring a validation bill to the House. Again, I spoke strongly about how undesirable this is, and in that situation in particular, I railed against the former CEO who really bullied the ratepayers in that situation, who the Tata Beach and Liger Bay ratepayers, who didn't want to pay for something that they were not seeing any benefits from. That the CEO bullied them by saying, well, you haven't got enough money to contest this, we'll take it to Parliament and Parliament will fix it for us. Well, can I just warn every single local authority in the country that 2 of these in 6 months is too many, and that will provoke a reaction either in this government or a future one that will take away the ability of local governments where they are incompetent. And mergers and amalgamations might be made forcibly if the incompetence, if the local bodies, their officers, their officials and their honorary officials or elected officials are incompetent to perform the task. And I think it is not good enough that ratepayers in New Zealand, who should be allowed to have a say about how their rates are used, are forced into this kind of situation by what I think is incompetence rather than malevolence in this situation. However, they need to be brought to account, and we need to know that those who guard the guards, in other words, Audit New Zealand, who guards the guardians of taxpayers' money, are also brought to account, because that is something this Parliament can do. So the Labour Party is supporting this legislation to first reading, but I have to say, and I cannot address Mr. Robertson personally while he's sitting in the House, but I have to say to the Commissioners who have asked us to support this bill that it is only to first reading, because if there is another way through this mess, that addresses the wrongs that illegal action have brought upon the residents and ratepayers of Mangawhai, then let's find it, and let's find it without having to make an illegal action legal. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Maggie Berry.